All right, guys. I want to welcome everybody to this video. This is a special video for me because it's with one of my friends who really impressed me over a decade ago. I'm assuming it's over a decade.
Yeah.
He had heard, his friends had heard my, by the way, I'm going to title, in the title of this video, I'm going to title it something like How to Remember Dance Moves or something like that, because Lewis is a salsa dancer and he is going to give us some tips on how to remember dance moves. But I'd also, and I'll kind of segue that into maybe how to memorize martial arts moves and stuff, because I think there might be some similarities there. So, but and I'll put the timestamp down below in the description. So if you click the video because you wanted to see that, and now we're just talking and catching up, you can jump straight to this part. But I do want to give you some background on Lewis because I think it might be interesting, and we'll get to the other part. Here's the background. About a decade ago, I gave a speech. More than a decade ago. This had to have been more than a decade ago because I stopped doing the success symposiums probably in 2009 or 10, and it didn't want your friends see me speak there at the Success Symposium in LA, and then they told you about a memory speech. Am I remembering this right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend Dion.
Yeah, and then Lewis contacted me, and he's like, "I want to learn memory from you," and I'm like, "Look, I don't got the time for this. I'm kind of maybe this isn't exactly how it happened. It's how I remember it." I'm like, "Look, dude, I don't got the time for this." But then there was just something about him impressed me so much, and I said, "I got an idea, man. I'm having a seminar in Dallas, and I need a helper for 2 days. If you can help me at this seminar for 2 days, I will teach you everything I know about memory." And Lewis, this is what so impressed me so much. He's like, "Dude, I'm there." He got on a bus. He rode a bus from LA
Good old
to
Greyhound.
Dallas just to learn memory. And then he learned memory, and he went on to do great things. I'm pulled up here his memory stats on the worldmemorystatistics.com, and that has a feature where you can compare competitors. And he and I equaled each other in 15-minute random words. His best is 62 words. My best is 62 words.
Oh, dang.
We almost equaled each other in 30-minute binary numbers. His best is 606, mine is 630. Just barely got him. And in spoken digits, which is one that I am very proud of, I got 38 digits. So that's 1 minute, 1 second, a digit spoken 1 digit per second, right? And this is a long introduction. I'm about to flip it over to Lewis, but I'm trying to build him up here because he's done great things. I'm very proud of this. They said 1 digit every second. And then after 38 seconds, I essentially repeated the number. Lewis did the same thing with a 31-digit number, which is insane. I mean, I boast about that all the time, and he basically equaled me. And then I will say this, last thing I will say, we actually went head-to-head against each other on a TV show called Superhuman with Mike Tyson competed for $100,000, 100,000 bones. And the student defeated the teacher. He walked away with $100,000. So that's a pretty good introduction. Well, Lewis, you've done great things. I'm very proud of you. How are you?
Thank you so much. Yeah, what an introduction. Like, I can just leave right now. That's it.
Yeah.
that was perfect. No, but thanks, Ron. Honestly, I mean, you mean the world to me. As you were saying, on that show, Superhuman, we had a nice little embrace afterwards. I honestly thought, like, when they were announcing it, they were like slow playing it and like the Memory Master. I'm like, they never called me Memory Master. I was like, oh, Ron got it. Awesome. He won. So I was like happy for you. And then they mentioned my name, but as you maybe not remember, like I went up to you afterwards, we just whispered a few things, and it just meant so much to like having that journey from that Greyhound bus to Texas. Took a few days to get there, but from that moment on, and over a decade plus now that we've been knowing each other, competing at USA Memory Championships and different events, to being on TV shows together. It's just been an awesome pleasure to and an honor to honestly be alongside you on this journey of memory improvement and memory training. But yeah, that's kind of how I started. My friend was, like you said, it's spot on. He was at your event. He memorized, you memorized everybody's name, and then you taught them how to memorize. And you were the only person who were bragging about coming out of that event. I believe it was like a big Jim Rohn event at that time. Les Brown, a lot of the big time motivational speakers. And out of all of them, like, oh, this memory guy, he taught us how to memorize this and that. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then later afterwards, when I was going through my own memory struggles, getting kicked out of college, and I think you and I have a similar story there, getting almost fired from my job because I kept forgetting things. And I was like, no, I need to fix this. I need to change it. Learn about your programs, learn about your courses, started going through them, but I wanted to really immerse myself. And that's when I reached out to you, and you're like, I'm too busy to do stuff with you. No, just played. No, you were so super open to taking me on as a student, as a protege. And I was very grateful at that time because I had no idea how to memorize a deck of cards or numbers or anything like that. I just wanted to be able to do better in school at that point in time, and to go from there to competing in championships it's honestly because of your guidance and your help. So I really do thank you, Ron.
Well, I appreciate that. Here's the thing. I've been teaching memory seminars for 32 years now, and if it was all just because of your success in memory was all just because of me, then there would be tens of hundreds of thousands of people who would have duplicated your success. So I do appreciate what you're saying, and thank you for that. But also, we both know that, I handed you the ball and you took off and run, and I've handed the ball to tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of people, and they've threw the ball down and walked away. So how do you use memory now? And we're going to segue into dancing, but before we do that, I mean, are you still using memory in your everyday life now? Is it something, or is it mainly something you just use for dancing?
Yeah, like names. Names is the big one that I use every single day. I'm constantly going out now because of dancing. I get to go out, go to clubs and do social dancing regularly. So I'm often meeting new girls, and it definitely helps out when I can. It can be like 2-3 weeks later, and I'm like, Ari, how's it going? How's this? How's that? How's the family? And oh, that trip that you went to. And it's all because I was able to remember her name. And they're super shocked. Like, I can just see the look on their face, and they're like, how does he know my name? I gave it to him once, like 3-4 weeks ago. So the name thing is something I use every day. Just the other day, having pizza with a group of us, and a friend of mine, she had her card out. I was like, no, I got it. But then she gave it to him. I'm like, I can memorize that, super easily. And so I'm like, you should put it away. She's like, oh yeah, do it. And then sure enough, I looked at it for a few seconds, give it back to her, and then in front of everybody, I'm not gonna recite it, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did the whole thing forwards and backwards, and they were all like, oh my God. So I still do it. I kind of like little parlor tricks. But yeah, for names, it's an everyday thing. And also salsa moves, like salsa and bachata moves that I'm learning certain sequences for the choreography that we're learning. Or if I'm just practicing at home and I want to like really hone in on certain moves that I've been struggling with, I'll use the memory techniques and put them on a memory palace, which we can go over in a moment on more specific details, but to help me with social dancing as well. So yeah, I use it. Right now, my life, honestly, is revolving around dancing, so I use it a lot for that.
So, well, let's just jump into this. So you said, and real quick, we won't spend too much time on it. I know what salsa dancing is, but what is mochita?
Mochita, you're so close. It's bachata.
Bachata, okay.
But bachata, yeah, mochita. That's funny. It's like mochis. So bachata is similar. It's a Dominican dance, originated in Dominican Republic. But it's more like salsa is more like forward and back. You're doing forward turns, back turns, cross bodies. Bachata is more side to side, and it's like a slower, steadier beat. Salsa is like so many more instruments, but yeah, it's overall like, similar in the sense that they're both like Latin-based dances. But yeah, bachata. I take both lessons, both classes when I go dancing, salsa and bachata. They'll play both songs. Usually if you're going to a Latin club, they'll play both. They'll do salsa, bachata. So
when you first started doing this, I'm assuming right away you saw the connection. Oh, I could maybe remember some of these moves with memory techniques. let's just go into it. Kind of what is your strategy when you're learning these dance moves to remember them?
Yeah, so at first I wasn't using any memory techniques because I was like, how can you? This is like I mean, you're using your body. It's more muscle memory than anything else. So I didn't really think about using memory techniques because I couldn't really connect it with dancing. But after a while, you start learning certain moves become the same. Cross body lead. Cross body lead is in salsa, you dance forward 3 steps, and then cross body means that you're crossing her body so you're moving her body across your body to the other side. And so for that, after a while, when we're learning different sequences, like a combo, it'll be a cross body right turn. So for me, usually right, I think of like a rhino, but a cross body was just a cross. So then I would just picture like, the cross and a rhino like coming out of the cross or something like that. And then I started doing that with all the moves that I was learning. Like in bachata, there's one that I was having trouble with recently. And so like, what kind of image can I come up with that move? And it was like, I give her a right turn, and then I bring my arm up this way and I put my head through it. So for me, like, what does that remind me of? And it was kind of like this, so I just thought of like a little goldfish. So that's how I remember that move. It was like goldfish, and it was like a whole sequence. So I put that on a memory palace. I put a goldfish, and then the next moves after that, I linked them together. So like the goldfish with maybe like a cross with a right turn, and then I linked that story together. So I started just throwing images similar to what we do with names. Like you say, every Karen is what like a carrot is. Susie. I don't know, for me it's snoozing. Susie is snoozing, so I picture an alarm clock. So I started doing that, similar to how we do with names, with numbers. We associated an image, an object, a character to that abstract idea. I started doing that with dance moves, and it's been working so far.
Well, first of all, I love your picture I've been doing this 32 years. I love your picture for Susie. I may switch to snoozing alarm clock for that. So on the other though, and let me, hone in on this to clarify for me and everybody else. So if it's a right turn cross body, that image might be a cross and a rhino. Got that part. Mm-hmm. Second part of this is you're storing that on a mind palace, is that right or no?
If I'm learning a new combo move, or if I'm in class and I want to like make sure that I know that combination, I will store it in a palace. But if it's just like a move that I'm trying to do, actually, yeah, if it's new moves that I'm trying to like make sure that I know when I go social dancing, I'll have a palace and I'll store those moves in there. That way, once I can give you an example on how I did that as well with the bachata evaluation that I did. But throughout the day, I'll use that as kind of my note card. So I'll be reviewing. I'm like, okay, on my first location, I have the face, and that means men's face away. And it's just kind of like, it's like the Jason mask. And then the next move I wanted to do was a woman's face away turn. So for that was like a Vega face mask. It's also like a Halloween mask, but it was a thinner version of that mask with a pink mask. So I put that in another location. So as I'm going through my day, I was like, okay, tonight I want to make sure I hit these main moves that I've been struggling with, because if not, I'll forget. When you're social dancing, if I'm not using the palace, and that's why I started incorporating the palace and the memory techniques, because I would forget when I'm social dancing these moves, or I wouldn't necessarily remember them because I would just go into my basics, like right turn, left turn, cross body. Those are things that I don't have to really think about much. But these other like advanced moves or newer moves that I'm learning, I don't do them because I'm like trying to enjoy the music, trying to enjoy, the chemistry that we're having with my dance partner. So I'm not really thinking too much. But if I have them in the palace and I review them throughout the day, they come more naturally to me when I'm dancing.
And you know what? So I like what you said, and I think a lot of people may click on this video, how to remember dance moves, and they may not even know what a memory palace or a mind palace is. Now, most of the regular viewers of my channel do, but if you're one of those people and you're wondering, what are they talking about, the memory palace or the mind palace? Here's a Cliff Notes version of it. Well, go ahead, Lewis. You know enough. Give people, describe what a mind palace or a memory palace is.
Yeah. Oh man, it's an honor to explain to everyone what this is because I learned it from you. So Ron, when I learned it from you, you called it files at that time. I think you might still call it that. But so it's like locations. You can do your body locations. You can do a house. So you can just like imagine like you're at the front door of your home. You open up that door. I like to use as many senses as possible to like really put yourself in that place if you're not there already. So like, what does it sound like when you're opening that door? Is there like a creaking sound? It's the AC blowing on the inside coming past you. So you walk into that first room. What is that for you? You know, for me, it's always like the living room. So I picture the living room. And then you want to say, okay, what's around here? Where are all the major objects, the big things, the small things? You can see it, maybe a sofa, maybe there's a table somewhere here, like a coffee table. You have a TV on the side. So you just look around, and I learned this from Ron. You want to go clockwise to do this. So you choose, maybe you can start with five items, really like larger items that you can always go back to in this room. So in the living room, maybe the first one, you'll see a window there. That can be number one. Number two could be a couch. Number three could be maybe a painting, like maybe this is on your wall. That can be number three. Number four can be so maybe the rug on the floor. And then number five can be a TV. So those can be your five locations. And then you use that to store information along that route later. So if the window was number one and my first move was a fish for that move that I showed you earlier, so that's a fish move, which is actually what I did. I would picture like fishes, goldfishes coming out of the window. And that's how I would remember that I need to do that fish move when I do the turn on the girl. And then I can keep doing that throughout the entire room. Choose another room like your bathroom. There's a toilet, there's a shower, things like that. So that's in a nutshell what a memory palace is. Hope I did that justice for you.
No, that's good. That was great. And I love hearing other people describe it. And, when you said you hear the sound of the door opening and you hear the air conditioner feel the air conditioner hit you in the face, I always, I love hearing other people describe it. Number one, you're very qualified to do it. You've done this a decade now. But I remember I was at the USA Memory Championship in 2009 or 2010, and at the time I held the record for the fastest to memorize a deck of cards. And this guy, and I don't even know who he was to this day, I don't know who he was, but he's like, man, he didn't know who I was. And he said, oh man, I found this new way to memorize a deck of cards and I can do it so fast. And I'm like, oh really? Okay, tell me, I want to know. And I listened to him for 4 or 5 minutes, and there was nothing revolutionary in what he said, but I've always had the attitude, I want to hear what other people know about this topic. And then the Tony DiTino, the leader of the USA Memory Championship, he said, okay, now we want to introduce Ron White. He holds the record for the fastest to memorize a deck of cards. And I was like, all right, hey, thanks, man. And I got up there.
Thanks for the tips.
Yeah, and the guy wrote and I didn't even know about this. My sister found the blog. He wrote a blog and he told the story. He's like, I spent 5 minutes telling this guy to memorize a deck of cards. And then he gets introduced. But I always love hearing other people's perspective. And just hearing yours right now, I learned Susie Snoozy. I love that. When you described the Mind Palace just now, when you said, hear the door creaking, feel the air conditioner hitting you in the face, I'm like, I love that. That is so good and so important. And I've gotten lazy, after 3 decades of doing this, and I skip stuff like that sometimes. So I think, and you did a wonderful job explaining it. I have a question for you, or maybe a point that I think I'm hearing you say, and then I'll let you verify it. So you learn these moves, and you got the fish on number one, don't try to do any Mochito dance moves based on this. I know that's not how you say it.
Bachata.
Yeah. But, okay, so piece of furniture, number one, you got the fish, right? Number two, I'm just making up some dance stuff now. You got a cross and a rhino. So when you're driving in your car, you're going throughout your day, and you're thinking about salsa dancing, you are using this Mind Palace to remember the steps, to remember it or doing it. When you're actually on the floor doing the salsa dancing, maybe a little bit you're thinking about it, but really your hope, and I'm see if I'm right or not, your hope is that you've reviewed it so much when you're not salsa dancing using the Mind Palace that when you get out there, it just kind of flows and you're not having to think about your Mind Palace. Is that right or is it wrong? Or are you thinking about your Mind Palace when you dance?
It depends. So if I am doing like newer moves that my body's just not used to, like I've done it maybe once or twice in class and at home, I've shadow danced a few times with those moves, then I will go to my mind palace while I'm dancing, but I try not to. I try to do it where it just comes out like organically, just naturally, unconsciously, without thinking about it. But if I get a sense, like if we're halfway through a song and I get a sense that I'm starting to do repetitive moves. Like I've done the same crossbody, I've done the fish thing already. Like there must be something else. And then at that point, I'll go to my backup, like maybe mid right turn. Right turn for me, it's unconscious. Left turn is unconscious. Like certain moves that I'm doing, if I'm doing a spin move myself, not the girl, but if I'm doing my turns, like those are moves that aren't conscious. So in the middle of those moves, I'll quickly jump to my third location. I'm like, okay, I forgot to do the forward and back in say bachata. If I'm doing bachata, I forgot to do forward and back, and then her right turn forward and back. I kept doing side to side, but I haven't done the forward and back, and that was on my third location. So while I'm doing unconscious activity, then I can go into, the like trying to pull up the mind palace at that point. If it starts to feel like I've exhausted my go-to moves. But for the most part, like right now, I'm starting to get into a nice flow where these moves are just coming out organically and naturally because I'm doing it so much. And I've reviewed, like you said, I've reviewed throughout the day. I've reviewed new moves. I reviewed past moves. And so I don't have to resort to tapping into the mind palace as much now during social dancing. Unless again, I'm trying to try new things out, but for the most part, I don't. Or if there's a break, like say the song ends and then there's a break and I want to, I don't want to dance the next song. I'll take a break and I'll just go through my mind palace right there. Okay, check. I did that first one. I did the fish. I did, I did her face away. I did the forward back turns. I did side to side. I didn't do this move. I didn't do this other move. So then I'll throw them into the next social that I do with the next partner.
Man, that's really good. That's really good. I like that.
Yeah.
So that's something I didn't.
We gotta get you out on the dance floor, Ron. We gotta get you out there.
Oh man, I used to country dance a lot in my 20s and 30s and even 40s, and people would ask me, Ron, do you like country dancing that much? I'm like, nah, I really don't. They're like, you go 5 times a month. How could you not like it? I'm like, you tell me another place where you can walk up to a woman you've never met before, and 5 seconds later, you're like this. You tell me another place I can do that, and I'll start liking that. But you've got rhythm. I've seen videos of you, and you're like swinging around, man. You're like a musician, salsa dancer. So you are actually, this is great. So when you're actually salsa dancing and you feel like you're getting in a rut on the moves, you'll just go through your memory palace, location to location, from the TV to the window to the couch to the lamp. Oh, I haven't done this one yet, and then you'll do it.
Right. Yeah.
Man, that is really great. It really is. It is a little bit like jujitsu, and I thought there might be some connections here. There's like different positions in jujitsu. There's like one called mount, one called side control, one called where you take the back, and so I have like one room for me is my side control room, one control is my mount room, and then I have the 5 moves that I want to do from those positions, in the rooms, so I can kind of go to those rooms. Do you group anything like that? Do you group by rooms or not really?
Yeah, the living room and my mom, that's like my go-to. That's when I was still competing, that was my first room that I ever created was my mom's house, so my mom's living room. And I always use that room for playing cards or for memorizing cards. So it's like my go-to fast location set room. So I use that one for salsa, and then I do separate it. So I'll have the bathroom for like bachata. But I'm gonna, now that it's like they're already filling up, I'm gonna start using more of my mom's house. But like right now, the salsa, I have 20, so I like subdivided. So for the couch, instead of just having it as one location, I have it as 5 sub locations. Like there's a table, and then I use like the chairs, the top table, there's a chandelier up above. So I use that as 5. So that whole area, before it was just 5 locations, but now it's 25. The bathroom, it used to be just 5. Now like there's 25 in there. So I haven't exhausted like the 25 and 25 yet, but I'm getting really close. So then I'm gonna start branching out. But yes, salsa in living room right now, and then bachata in the bathroom.
Did you say you have 25 locations in the bathroom?
Yeah.
Really?
I subdivided. So the toilet, instead of it used to be like the way that you taught me. Originally, it was just a toilet, right? And then there's a mirror, and then there's a shower. But what I did early on was like, I want to expand these, and I don't want to walk around all over my neighborhood to try to come up with new locations. So I have this. How do I expand it? So I use a toilet, and then so the top of the inside of the toilet. So I pick up the lid, and there's water on the inside of the toilet when you pick up the lid. So that's like 1. The little handle is 2. The seat itself 4. The inside, like the inside of the toilet when you're pooping, that's 4. So it's the seat cover 3, 4, and then 5 the base of the toilet. So and then I do that for each location.
Wow. So if there's 5 in each location, like 5 spots on your toilet, and there's 5 in a room, that's 25. So you don't, and I say, I've never done this. I've stuck with and I'm just brainstorming here with you. I've always, just like you said, just use the whole toilet as my location, because now maybe I would like see if it's a 3-part image, I might see the first part in the tank and then the second part in the bowl, and then whatever. But I've always worried about putting too much information in one location. So do you think that's you're not overwhelming yourself with that or whatever it makes? And if it makes sense for you, that's wonderful. I haven't done it, so I'm asking out of curiosity here.
Yeah, no, I don't feel overwhelmed. I actually used to. The reason why I started doing that was because there was times during it never affected me during like the USA championships, because those events are much shorter, but it was in the big competition, like the 60-minute long events at like the world championships, or 30-minute long events in international competitions like Taiwan and Japan. Those, it would affect me because you're sitting there for 30 minutes to an hour memorizing a lot of information. So by the time I went back to try to review like what I put on the table in my mind just seemed so long, and then I couldn't like really picture where on the table I placed that image. I'm like, I see a silhouette somewhere on the table, but I didn't know where exactly, because I had just spent 20 minutes memorizing on the rest of my locations. And so that's where I got the idea to like, okay, I'm gonna subdivide this table, so it's always gonna be in this one like little corner section of the table. I'm always gonna put my image in this one corner section, so I don't have to be like searching while I'm reviewing. So that's the main reason why I did it. Same thing for the toilet. Like I put something on the toilet, but after 20 minutes I come back and review, and I'm like, where on the toilet is it? Is it on the top of the toilet, in the bowl, and on the seat cover? So then that's where I've said, okay, no, if the 4th or 3rd location is going to be the seat cover, that's always going to be, the 3rd is the seat cover, that's always going to be there on that spot. It's on this one section on the seat cover. That's where I got that idea from, of like subdividing and then making sure it's always on that one particular spot.
Well, it's amazing. I been started in 1991 doing this, and when I started, I was actually a telemarketer, and I would make 100 phone calls a day, setting appointments for another memory speaker. I mean, my job was to book him memory seminars. That's how I got my start as a telemarketer, booking speeches for Dave Cahill, a memory expert in California, actually, and in San Diego. And Dave Cahill, he had 100 locations in his living room. And I just thought, wow, I've always stayed away from it. So this is what I like about talking with somebody else who does memory. Even if I know I'm never going to do it, I like hearing their perspective, because somebody else watching this video may say, I like the way Lewis does it better than the way Ron does it. And my goal is never that somebody does it the way I do it. My goal is the way somebody does it that works best for them. So I love hearing other perspectives, and all power to Lewis picking 5 locations on his toilet. I'm going to stick to just using the toilet as my location. But I love that. So, Lewis, do you do you ever compete anymore in memory tournaments?
I get the itch every now and then. It's like right now, I think they're doing the what do they call them? Like the tournament round, like the exhibition rounds for the USA Championships. But I was like, oh, should I enter? Should I go through? And because I still want to, like, yes, I've competed everywhere, but I haven't had the big championship win like you, like Nelson. You know, you've done it. 2-time USA memory champion Nelson out there. I don't know. He's at like 5, 6, 7. I don't know how many.
He's got 5. We don't need to give 10. Nelson credit for extra championships. He's won it 5 times, and if he never competed, I'd be a 4-time champion. So I'm just joking. I want to do an interview with Nelson. I like the guy, but yeah, he's a 5-time champion.
Yeah. All right, we settled that 5 times. He has 5 rings. So I don't have any. I have that one big win on the TV show, but other than that, like, so those are things that are still like every now and then as I'm driving and like I still got it in me. I know I can still go, but do I really want to spend the time like training and going through it? Right now I have a different passion in life, so maybe after like. Once I get to a certain level of maybe of my dancing prowess, and I don't have to always constantly be trying to like memorize moves because they're just all now coming unconscious. So here's one thing, going back to dancing, as I'm learning the moves, also like I record videos if I'm in class or when I'm learning the moves in class, I'll record the videos obviously, or I'll take I'll screen record if I see a move on Instagram or YouTube, and then I practice them. I put them in a playlist. Once I've done them a few times, and then I'll delete the videos on my phone. Because I'm like, oh, I've done that a million times. It's unconscious now. I don't have to do that. So once I get to that point where I don't have to have any videos anymore on my phone, then I might think about going back to memory competition. But as of right now, I get the itch every now and then. But once I think about the training that it takes to compete, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
No, I understand. I stopped competing in memory tournaments for very similar reasons. I still love memory and I still use it every day, but there was other ways to exercise my memory other than memorizing a deck of cards at a tournament. But back to the dancing thing real quick. So sometimes in jiu-jitsu, if the instructor is teaching a move, I will record it on my phone as he is teaching it. So is that what you're saying, or you get them mainly off of YouTube or Instagram, or do you record in class sometimes too?
Right. Yeah. No. Every night after class they do the demo. So they teach us, okay, step 1, 2, 3. This is what we did. 4, 5, 6. Like yesterday, actually, I used a palace to memorize our sequence. So there was one move. It was like a newer move they were doing. I just called it like around the world. It was like me doing a quick sidestep, and then doing a quick turn, and then turning her quickly. It was an 8 count, but it was a very quick one. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4 on one side, then 5, 6, I turn, 7, 8, she turns. So I call that just like around the world. So I put that on the top of my head. I'm like, around the world is number 1. And then after that, our arms are crossed like this. So I had to flick her arm around, and that looks like a clock to me. So I put that on my nose. I still use my body locations. Those are my original first 10 body locations that I created from you, my files. So I put a clock on my nose for that one. And I just kept going through the moves. So I learned that as I was going through class, because we're learning from like a really next level dance instructor, won championships. And so it's like, I want to make sure I do this right. So these were new moves that I learned that one sidestep turn, and then I turn her. I had never done that before. So that was like an around the world thing. So I'll create like little quick mnemonics for these moves. Because if we keep stacking, which we did, we kept stacking new moves. If I'm like halfway through it and I'm just trying to do rote memorization, I would have forgotten what the first 2 or 3 things that we did were. So this is a way for me to, as they're teaching, I'm doing a review as well. So I'm like, okay, what was the first one? Okay, it was the world. What was the world? Oh yeah, boom, boom, around the world. Like I turn and then she turns. What was the next one? Okay, I flicked her arm around to do a clock, and then I gave her a right turn after that. So things like that, and then I had a picture of the rhino coming out of my mouth for that one. I would do that during class. I would film, and then afterwards, it's easier now for me to put these into my actual my files, my locations in my mom's home for those moves, like I was explaining earlier, because I already did it during class. So I don't really have to think about it. Now I'm just like going to start, actually in a bit, I'm going to go through, I have like a time period where I go through and review all these like mental notes that I did. So I'll put the world move, like that globe move, I'll put it into a location in my mom's living room, just to help me do that now during social dancing later tonight if I go. So yeah, and then I'll to like really get it precise, I'll review the video that we did too. I'm like, oh, that's the around the world that we did. Oh, that was a clock move that we did. So things like that.
That's really great. And, one thing I want to, for people who are listening here thinking, oh, wow, he just talked about how to memorize using the house, the couch, the TV, and then all of a sudden he jumped to, I put it on the top of my head, I put it on my nose. For what he's saying is this, what Lewis is saying is this. Probably a lot of the time he's going to use a physical location, whether it be a location in his mom's living room or the kitchen or whatever. But he's also saying that sometimes you can use your body as this using the house is called the mind palace or the memory palace. You can also make your body a mind palace or a memory palace. So 1 is top, 2 is nose, 3 is mouth, 4 is your ribs, and you can go down and number 10 spots on your body. And Lewis is saying instead of seeing it around a house, he's putting it on his body. And in class right there. And that's actually a really good idea because the instructor's right there. The instructor's teaching you right there. And they're saying, do this, do this, do this. You're almost storing the information in the room where you're learning it because your body's in the room instead of having to kind of mentally think back to another room. So not that that's how memory is. You're always thinking of another room, really, when you're memorizing. But I do like that, what he's saying. You're attaching it to your body, and then later on, he might attach it to his mind palace or memory palace for more long-term. It kind of sounds like this was short-term in the class. Boom, you just want to get it down. Then when you get home and you want to make it long-term, you put it in a new location in your mind palace, right?
Exactly, yeah. Like, I'm not going to, like, if I learn a sequence there, and let's say the right turn, right? Like a rhino. Like, I don't need to store that long term because I know that move already. So that's not something I would want to store long term. Like, that's unconscious move. But during class, that's a part of the sequence that we're learning. So I don't want to miss that part. So that's why this is like my short term, my temporary locations. I use my body all the time. When I'm going to the grocery store and I need to get like milk, eggs, things like that. I mean, it's pretty easy, but if there's something I really need to get, peanut butter, I'll put peanut butter all over my mouth, and that's my third location. Okay, make sure to get peanut butter. So these are like my temporary locations. I use it all the time, my body files.
Well, man, that's great. There are so many similarities between, and I thought there would be. There's so many, but you've really had some creative ideas about this. In jiu-jitsu, you might pull the person's, arm across your body like that. So sometimes, instead of sometimes I would think of something like a rhinoceros or a cross, right? But sometimes I literally just see myself pulling the arm across the furniture. Do you ever do that? Like literally just see the move on the furniture?
Yeah, there's one where I remembered, so I call it the CU. So that's my instructor's name, CU, one of my instructor's name, CU. So I pictured her doing this like booty roll that she does. So I was like, how can I picture a booty, yeah, but there's like so many things you can do with the booty. But I picture her doing the move like this and then like shaking her butt, because that's like you're close with your partner there, with your girl. Or guy, but so I'm close with my partner like this, and then we're both like shaking our booties. So I pictured her doing that. So I'll do that too. There's another move that I learned where it's in bachata. I pull the girl's arm to my side, and then I have my hand on her shoulder, on her right shoulder, and then I do like a head roll action. So I kind of lean to the side and bring her back. For that, I just pictured a mannequin. And then I put that on the location. Like I have the mannequin on my side, the arm of the mannequin, and I'm like doing a rotation like this. So yeah, sometimes I'll do things like that as well.
Well, man, that's really great. And so after class, like, do you start reviewing like after jiu-jitsu class? I do a thing where I tell myself, okay, after this class, there's going to be a test. And the test, and that, it's like if you're in your history class and the teacher says, after this class, we're going to have a test, you're going to be paying attention in that class. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I do the same thing. I tell myself, okay, after this jiu-jitsu class, there's going to be a test. And the test for me is when I get in my car, I try on the drive home, I just try to recite what I learned. I give myself the test. But that's my immediate review. Do you have anything where you try to review like that, or do you just naturally maybe think about what you learned in class on the ride home, or you just, I mean, I don't have and I'm gonna be honest with you, Lewis, I don't have a set time of day I review jiu-jitsu moves. Okay, it's nothing structured like that. But and so I'm not expecting you to say, yes, I get up every morning at 7 a.m. and I review my salsa moves or whatever. But you're thinking about it and reviewing. Review is an important part of the learning process.
It's a must. Yeah. If not, because there were like early on, before I actually had the courage to go out social dancing. Because at first you're going through class and you're learning the moves, and it's pretty, it gets pretty easy because you start doing the same thing, just in different combination. Like, I got this. I'm the greatest dancer in the whole universe. I can learn all these in the classroom, no problem. And then I remember the first time my instructor told me, I was in Puerto Rico. My instructor's like, I was maybe, I don't know, 2-3 months in to dancing, like in the classroom. He's like, oh, you're fine. You'll be good out on the dance floor. I'm like, I don't know about that. And he's like, yeah, just go. It's like, it's called De La Vida. It's like big, like open bar area where everybody goes, all the best dancers in the world go dance there. But I didn't know that at the time. He's like, yeah, it's fine. Just, you'll be good. And so I went, and the whole time I was in a little corner off to the side, looking at everybody doing all the fancy turns, the twists and turns. I'm like, all I know is the right turn and cross body. What the heck are they doing over here? So I wouldn't, I didn't have the courage yet to ask anybody to dance. But so that's kind of what started my journey to doing review, to start to implement some memory techniques, because it's much different from when you go classroom to social dancing. Because social dancing, there's so much more pressure. You're actually dancing with someone that does not know what you're going to do next. In class, everybody knows, like your partner knows what you're going to do, because you're practicing the exact same moves. In social dancing, they call you the lead, or the guy, or the main person, the lead. Yeah, it can be girl or guy, but the lead is the one that's leading your follow. So you have to be ready to do the moves, and you have to know what you're going to do before she obviously is going to do them. So that's where I started doing a lot more reviewing. I started like making sure that after class, I knew the sequences forward and back, because social dancing, it has to be unconscious. You cannot be thinking about it while you're dancing, because if you do, there's going to be no connection there. She's going to know that something's off, like that you're two in your head. You're like trying to look up, meaning for me, when I look up, it's because I'm trying to reflect back on my memory palace, or I'm trying to reflect back on the images that I remember. Like, oh, what was that move that I did in class? I forgot. She'll know, she'll feel it, because then you're just going back and forth doing a simple basic move, or you keep doing the right turn and she's over it by the third or fourth one. So yeah, that's where I started reviewing. And then even now, even though I've done it now for about a year or so, the dance thing, now it's more of like, I have to review. I get my iPad, I have my Apple Pencil. I'll take screenshots of certain moves. And then I'll label, similar to what I told you earlier, how I said fish is this move. Like, I took some screenshots of like the 3 main steps to get me to that point. I'll put that on my in my iPad, and then right below that I'll put like fish. I'll just write down fish. So things like that, and now I have like a library of these moves in my iPad. So I have my salsa journal and then my bachata journal in my iPad. So reviewing is a must. If I don't review, then I'll forget. There's moves that I'll go back to videos and screen recordings that I did from when I was in Puerto Rico, like a year ago. I was like, oh, I haven't done that one in a while. So then I'll take screenshots of that and I'll put it in my iPad, and then I'll put a quick mnemonic, because I didn't do that back then, right? I wasn't doing that in the beginning. So there's a lot of moves that I'm like, oh, I never did that because I never reviewed. So yeah, reviewing is super, super important.
Yeah, man, it is. So, Lewis gave us a lot of great information. He said use the mind palace, or the memory palace. Pieces of number 20 pieces of furniture in your house. Boom. do 5 in a room, and if you want to take it to the next level on each piece of furniture, maybe pick 5 spots on that furniture. Either way, we gave you 2 options there, and we discussed the pluses and the minuses of both. So Lewis said, he uses a mind palace, and then he creates pictures for the move. He told us what his picture for the fish move is, and if that's the first move of this dance sequence, he'll see that on the first piece of furniture, and then the second and the third. Then after he gets the move down, he reviews that throughout the day, and he sees himself doing this. And then when he gets in class and he's out dancing and he's dancing with somebody and he's thinking, man, what moves have I not done yet? I'm running out of stuff here. He just goes back to his mind palace, and he's got the fish here, he's got the rhino here, he's got this here. So he starts pulling new stuff out of his tricks bags, and that's just such great advice. And he talked to us about the importance of review. If you don't review, it's not going to go into your long-term memory. And he's got notepads. He's got a salsa notepad and a mochito notepad. I'm just kidding. I don't even know.
I'm going to call it that from now on.
Yeah. But he gave us so much information, and I'm going to wrap it up here soon, but because I want to save some information for another interview we do down the road. I know we will. But before I go, I have 2 questions for you, Lewis. Number one, do you have a way for people to stay in contact with you or follow you or whatever? And then number 2, do you have any more thoughts maybe that I haven't asked about dancing that you just would be killing yourself if you didn't get out?
So number 1, I'm not like, if you guys need help to like improve memory and memory coaching, I'm out of the game right now, so make sure to contact Ron for any of that. He's the best memory coach right now in the game and has been for 30 years, so make sure to reach out to Ron for that. For if you just want to follow my journey and when I post, I'm on Instagram, Lewis Angel Life, LUISANGEL Life. That's my Instagram. But yeah, that's I used to be super active and like sharing things. I still have YouTube videos up, so if anybody wants to watch like my old videos on memory, I've interviewed a few people, so you guys can watch that. It's on AE Mind. But other than that, just follow my dancing life on my Instagram. But for dancing, I mean, I think not just in dancing, but in anything in general. Like, I mean, you can take these techniques. People think that, you only want to learn these techniques to go and compete in competition. No, again, going back to my story, I got into this because my memory sucked. I had ADD. I was given the pills, and I just didn't want to take them. So I wanted like a natural fix for my focus problem, for my memory problems. And that's what led me to Ron Wyatt and his courses. So you can just start the journey there. Just start by going through, maybe watching some videos, Ron has a great course, Black Belt Memory, I think it's what it's called. Go through the course, and then you start thinking of ways to apply that information to your everyday life. Whether it's, if you're, an executive in a big company and you want to memorize everybody's name, so everybody knows that you actually care about them, because you do. But, if you're constantly forgetting people's names, you want to remember, that's Alyssa. Every time that you see Alyssa, you picture a lasso wrapping around the crown of her head or something like that. I don't know. So these techniques can be used in everyday life. I use them in dancing now, but I use them in other forms as well. But yeah, as far as like dancing tips, just get out there. If you want to dance, get out there on the dance floor. If you want to use memory to do that, we went over that today. Start creating little mnemonic triggers to help you remember moves. But at the end of the day, just go out there and feel the music and have fun.
Yeah, man, I think that's great advice. You gotta just do it. You gotta get out there. The same thing for jiu-jitsu. I'm sitting at home like, how can I get better at jiu-jitsu? I'm like, you should go to jiu-jitsu. No, I don't want to go to jiu-jitsu today, but how do I get better at jiu-jitsu? So great advice. Just get out there and do it. All the links that Lewis mentioned for his Instagram and all that, I'll put in the description of this video. Lewis is a good friend, and he is somebody who has a great perspective on memory and learning, and he's accomplished a lot. And so I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of all he's accomplished, not only in memory, but in life. He's moved to Puerto Rico. That was a brave step. That's something that, in 20, 30 years, he'll He'll still be remembering that time. But he's involved in an activity of salsa dancing, and that's where he's meeting people. He's getting out there. He's doing something new, but it's exercise too. And everybody knows what a fan I am of exercise. So, and plus his family and his mom is so important to him. So there's so many things about Lewis that we can admire, and those are just some of them. So I wanted to have him as a guest on here. And Lewis, let's catch up soon. I've got a little bit more videos that I got to do now, but I appreciate you taking the time with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ron. It's a huge honor to be here on your show, the original Brain Athlete. So thanks a lot, Ron.
I copyrighted Brain Athlete. I remember you told me there was somebody who was going to start using Brain Athlete, and I'm like, I'll sue that boy. But I'm kind of just joking about that. Hey, all right, I'm going to say goodbye. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video.